welcome to episode 12 of the Comic Source. I'm your host, Jace. In the news, Marvel has announced that in an upcoming storyline, the Thor that we know will become unworthy. His hammer will then be picked up by a female, and she will wield the power of Thor. Also, in Marvel news, it has been announced that the Falcon, Sam Wilson, will replace Steve Rogers as Captain America coming up very soon. And also, we're looking at a new Iron Man title called The Superior Iron Man, in which Tony Stark allows the Extremis technology to be a little more widespread throughout the Bay Area, the city of San Francisco, which he now calls home, kind of like an app for your phone and all the consequences that go with that. So it certainly looks like Marvel is trying to answer the claims of a lack of diversity in the characters of comics. Also in Marvel news, over on the movie side of things, this last Friday, they announced 5 more dates for upcoming Marvel movies, although no details about which movies or properties those might be have been forthcoming. Now, speaking of diversity, the book I'm going to cover this week definitely fills the bill. It's called A Voice in the Dark. Now, the creator is Laramie Taylor. He handles the writing, the art, the inking, the lettering, pretty much all the creative side of the book except for the colors. This book is black and white, but the colors on the cover are handled by his wife, Sylve Taylor. Now, what's really cool about this pair of creators is they're both disabled. They don't let that stop them, and the first time I read the book, I didn't have any idea that Laramie Taylor was disabled. I read it, I thought it was amazing, and then when I found out he was a disabled creator, I was just blown away. I couldn't believe that this great high-quality book was put out by this guy who had to overcome so much in his life. He basically draws the book with his mouth. He holds the stylus in his teeth and he goes to work, and it's just really commendable. And Laramie, I've met him a few times. He's one of the strongest people I know. He's a really cool guy. So let me talk a little bit about the book. The main character of the book is Zoe Aarons. She's a young woman, probably 19 or 20. She's just started college, but she has a dark side. Each book starts out with Zoe counting the days since the last time that she killed somebody. So right away, it's a different kind of book. Here, the main character, the protagonist, is actually a killer. And yet you still find yourself relating to her. You still find yourself rooting for her. What's interesting is there's a lot of internal dialogue. She knows what she's doing is wrong. She's trying to understand where it comes from. You know, she had a good upbringing. You know, there weren't a lot of the typical warning signs or the kind of environment that we see most serial killers come from. Zoe knows that she has this dark side, and she doesn't quite understand why, and she's definitely trying to resist the darker side of herself. Personally, I can definitely relate to that. I think probably a lot of us can. We all have aspects and things about ourselves that we aren't proud of or we don't necessarily like, and you know, I think for the most part, most of us try to, you know, keep those feelings or those negative emotions tucked away and be a functioning part of society. So it's very interesting. I found myself relating to Zoe, and Laramie does a great job of making her relatable, and she seems like a real person. She's a person of color. A lot of the other characters in the book are also minorities. She has an adopted sister who's Asian. You know, her mom is white, her dad is black. We see that her roommate, have some of them that are more on the preppy side of things, some of them more on the punk side of things. Laramie definitely sets up a very realistic, real-world setting with real characters, you know, people that you would certainly run across in a college situation. Everybody's different, and Laramie does a great job of conveying that this is a realistic kind of world that Zoe lives in. So the first 2 issues of the book are subtitled Blood Makes Noise. It's kind of an introduction to Zoe. We catch up with her. She's just starting college. She goes to the college radio station. She gets her own radio show. She's doing it late at night. It's a talk show. The name of her talk show is A Voice in the Dark, which is where Laramie got the name of the book. And she basically takes calls and lets people talk about their feelings and things like that. But the show doesn't quite head in the direction that Zoe might have thought. She's kind of trying to use it as a way to maybe talk to people and hear about their failings, and so she can kind of relate her own and maybe through this process of talking it out, she'll be able to keep those urges that she feels at bay. But like I said, it doesn't quite work out that way, and the things that happened in the first 2 issues really sucked me in. The next 5 issues, issues 3 through 7, are subtitled Killing Game, and it basically tells the story of Zoe meeting some people through one of her roommates, and she feels they're not good people, they don't deserve to live, and so she starts planning on killing again. So the storyline follows Zoe as she's unable to stop herself from killing again. Also, we see that she's not the only killer in this small town. There's also another serial killer who's going around killing young women and leaving Polaroids at the scene. So that provides a whole nother angle and something for Zoe to play off of, kind of compare herself to this other serial killer. Her uncle is another supporting character in the book. His name is Zeke, and he's a police officer, a detective, and he's in charge of this case of the serial killer, and he finds himself confiding in Zoe because he sees that she's somebody that he can talk to. Meanwhile, she's trying to get as much information and kind of judging herself through what her uncle sees in this other serial killer, and kind of having an idea of how close her uncle might be to catching her if she were to commit another crime. So there's definitely a lot of moving parts in these first 7 issues. Laramie does a real good job of making the narrative easy to follow. The art is very simple. It's very clean. It's definitely realistic. It's just a really, really good story. One quote that I read was that it's like Strangers of Paradise meets Dexter. I feel that's a very good description of the book. If you're a fan of Dexter, a serial killer that you root for, you'd probably like this book. If you're a fan of Strangers in Paradise, you definitely would like this book. It gets my highest recommendation. It's just a really great read. These first 7 issues have already been collected in a trade paperback that just came out in the last couple of weeks. Laramie and his wife, Sylv, are going to be doing a new 5-issue arc starting in September. I believe the release date is September 17th. When it comes back out, the subtitle is going to be Voice in the Dark, Get Your Gun, and it's going to be in full color. Sylv's going to be coloring both the covers and the interiors, so we look forward to that. So I really hope you guys all give this book a try. Go out, pick up an issue, pick up the trade paperback, give it a read, pass it on to your friends. Laramie could really use the support, and this is one of those books that you always hear people complaining there's not enough female protagonists, there's not enough diversity in comics, and well, here it is. This is one of the best comics out there that you've probably never heard of. A Voice in the Dark by Laramie Taylor. Go down to your local comic shop, ask your retailer to order it for you. You can get it on Amazon. You can go to the Top Cow website and order it. It's a book I really think you would enjoy. It's probably one of those books that if you have friends that aren't interested in comics, but you'd like to get them interested in comics, especially female friends, this is definitely the book that you should give them to try out. I asked Laramie at WonderCon earlier this year how he does such a great job of writing the characters, and especially as women, and he talked a little bit about his theater background and how he, when he was in high school, he had a wide diversity of friends, and he kind of just channels that, and it allows him to give a really realistic voice to all his characters. So, like I said, Laramie's a really great guy. He's very accessible at conventions. He's very accessible on social media, Twitter, Facebook. He's more than happy to talk comics, talk about the books, talk about the story, talk about the characters, pretty much talk about anything. You can reach out to him. He's, like I said, he's very accessible. So A Voice in the Dark, give it a try. Okay, that's it for this episode. Join me next time when I talk about how to get ready for a comic convention. If you're interested in getting original sketches or meeting artists or creators, going to panels, I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of what I do to get ready for a show with a little walkthrough of what I did to get ready for the Comic-Con International San Diego this year. So tune in, and thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you then.